fed up show, where the real ones talk and the truth gon' flow. Like song, right? Yeah, the spotlight glow. From the stars you know to the ones bout to blow. Hear the stories unfold. From the grind in the dark to the diamonds in gold. Every beat, every dream, every risk they chose. We keep it raw, no scripts, no pose. Tune in close, let the energy grow. New voices rising, yeah, we running the show. From the stage to the mic, let the whole world know. It's the fed up show. 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 Yeah. It's the fed up show, where the real ones talk and the truth gon' flow. Like song, right? Yeah, the spotlight glow. From the stars you know to the ones bout to blow. Hear the stories unfold. From the grind in the dark to the diamonds in gold. Every beat, every dream, every risk they chose. We keep it raw, no scripts, no pose. Tune in close, let the energy grow. New voices rising, yeah, we running the show. From the stage to the mic, let the whole world know. It's the fed up show. 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 Yeah. It's the fed up show, where the real ones talk and the truth gon' flow. Like song, right? Yeah, the spotlight glow. From the stars you know to the ones bout to blow. Hear the stories unfold. From the grind in the dark to the diamonds in gold. Every beat, every dream, every risk they chose. We keep it raw, no scripts, no pose. Tune in close, let the energy grow. New voices rising, yeah, we running the show. From the stage to the mic, let the whole world know. It's the fed up show. 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 Yeah. It's the fed up show, where the real ones talk and the truth gon' flow. Like song, right? Yeah, the spotlight glow. From the stars you know to the ones bout to blow. Hear the stories unfold. From the grind in the dark to the
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, McKeelery, aka Miss Fed Up, and I'm back. Welcome to another episode of Live on the Fed Up Show, honey. I am your host. Yes, I am. And this is the space where real conversations happen, real stories are told, and real people are empowered to walk boldly in their purpose. This show was created to inspire, uplift, and challenge you to push beyond limitations, silence the doubt, and step fully into the vision that has been placed on your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur, creative, leader, dream chaser, or simply someone looking for motivation to keep going, you are in the right place tonight. So go ahead and tag a friend, share this live, and get ready for powerful dialogue, authentic moments, and life-changing insight. This is Live on the Fed Up Show, and the conversation starts right now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Live on the Fed Up Show podcast, where we empower voices, have real conversations, and embrace unapologetic truths. Tonight's guest is doing more than building a business. She's helping people rebuild their lives. In a world where so many people are silently battling anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, broken relationships, and emotional pain, our next guest has dedicated her life to reminding people that healing is possible, hope is real, and freedom begins within. She's a counselor, an encourager, an advocate for mental wellness, and the founder of Pathway to Freedom Counseling, LLC. Every day, she creates safe spaces where people can confront their pain, rediscover their worth, and begin writing a new chapter. Tonight, we're having an honest conversation about mental health, emotional resilience, healthy relationships, healing from life's hardest moments, and why asking for help is one of the strongest decisions anyone can make. Fed Up family, grab your notebooks, open your hearts, and prepare for a life-changing conversation. Please help me welcome Counselor Meoshia Abrams of Pathway to Freedom Counseling, LLC. Yes, honey. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey.
How are you?
I am great. I was making a jam into your song, girl.
Hey. It's the Fed Up Show. I get caught up in it too. I be like, girl, I gotta start this. Hold on, let me cut this off. Yes, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Well, listen, welcome to Live on the Fed Up Show, and thank you so much for coming onto the platform and discussing a topic that needs to be discussed and that most times is avoided and sometimes is downplayed. So thank you so much for joining us, and I want the people to know who you are. First and foremost, can you give them your first and last name and where you're from?
Hi, everyone. My name is Meoshia Abrams. I'm originally born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. West side is the best side.
Okay.
And I am the CEO of Pathway to Freedom Counseling, and I'm also the executive director for Pathway to Peak Performance.
Yes, Pathway to Peak Performance. And we're going to get into what that is as well while we're discussing and having a conversation. So I did tell you, we're going to have a conversation. This is me and you sitting in your house. The only difference is, we on the computer screens for everybody else, okay? But it's just a conversation. It's one that needs to be had, and I'm so glad that we're going to have it tonight, and hopefully someone listening will get the help they need and reach out to you as well and book that appointment, because I'm going to tell you from experience, for me, I love going to see my therapist, honey. I lay across that couch like I bought it. You hear me? Give me my cold water or my Sprite and let me lay here and talk to you. I got some things to get off my chest. So I appreciate it, and I wish a lot of people wouldn't give a negative thought to it, and they will actually go out and try it before they downplay it and say, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not crazy. Having a therapist does not mean you crazy. Okay. That's first and foremost. Let's get that addressed. Okay. Now I'm a little crazy on certain days, but I'm not that type of crazy. Okay. Life will make you feel crazy. Okay. Because life be like that.
Better say it.
Okay. Yes, honey. So first, secondly, I do want to say you are a counselor, and you have your own counseling service now. And let's start from the education side of things. When did you realize that counseling is what you wanted to take? That journey was the career move you wanted to make?
Ooh, girl, when did I realize it? Ooh. Mm-hmm. Probably when I was going through my own traumatic experience as a child in my childhood is when I realized that I wanted to be a therapist and a counselor.
Now, in your childhood, did you seek therapy as a child as well?
I did not. And that is what I think propelled me to want to do this more, because I think if I had been given the opportunity to seek therapy when I was younger, then I may not be as crazy as I am today. So.
A good crazy. Okay. And I asked that question because there are a lot of parents who struggle with making a decision with putting their kids in counseling. What are your thoughts on that? How is there an age where you say a person is too young to start counseling?
Absolutely not. I think any time that you see your child going through anything that is adverse, it's the time to start counseling. I just had this conversation with a client the other day. Counseling for me is just like preventative measures going to the dentist. Don't we go to the dentist every 6 months to get our teeth clean?
Yes.
And don't us women go and get pap smears so we can make sure that our tatas are all right?
Yes.
Counseling is the same thing. It's a preventative measure. So when things come up or arise in your life, then you're not knocked flat on your face. You're kind of like, oh, okay, I have these tools in my toolbox to help me get through this moment or get through this season of life.
Yes. And I tell people just from having conversations, you know what I'm saying? Kids these days are different than us. Just like we're different from our parents and our elders, but they're different. And a lot of them can't handle certain things that we handled that rolled off our backs when we were their age. And we'll sit and look like, hey, toughen up, you know what I'm saying? But their thinking process is different. And so a lot of them totally different. A lot of them need someone else besides mom and dad and auntie, cousin to sit down and talk to and help them express their emotions and get out what they're feeling. It just like mine went to the doctor the other day and she said, well, certain things he say, even though it don't make sense to me, it may be related to something deeper. And that's what a therapist is for, is try to get down to the bottom of it. How is he may not know how to process his thoughts yet because he's still young, So I definitely want parents to pay attention to their kids, because it's a lot going on in this world, and it's a lot that they're facing. Them tablets and them phone devices and what they're watching on TikTok and stuff. They don't know how to process that stuff, a lot of it. And so just watch your kids, pay attention, and we're going to tell you why. Okay. Mental health. Mental health has become a much bigger topic in recent years, yet many people still suffer in silence. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to ask for help?
Because society has given it a stigma that if I ask for help, then I'm weak. That's just the bottom line. Society makes you think you're less than, or something's wrong with you if you need help. That's just simply put.
Yeah. True. You weak. You're not strong enough. You complaining. You're looking for an excuse. So you're definitely right about that negative stigma. And I used to hear men say that they were told that men don't go to counseling. You figure it out. You toughen up. You know what I'm saying? You put your boots on and you keep stepping. And that's not true. That's not true. And I wish we would fight more to get that mindset erased from our culture. But let me ask you, what's the biggest misconception people have about counseling and therapy?
The biggest,
besides it means you're weak,
is that they think counselors and therapists are not human people. We human just like you're human. We go through the same things you all go through. That's the biggest misconception. That they think that we're like above everyone else, or we're, some superior power. No, I go through the same things everybody go through every day. Same thing.
Okay. And how can someone recognize the difference between having a bad day and experiencing a mental health issue that deserves professional support?
To be honest, it varies from person to person. I'm just going to be honest. However, when you start to see someone that is experiencing something on a long-term basis, something that they're not coming out of, they're always tired, they're always sad, they're always negative, or they always have something adverse to say about, what's going on in their life. Those are signs that that person may be dealing with some depression silently, or maybe dealing with something, internally that other people do not recognize or know what's going on with them.
Most definitely. And we say signs, like we say symptoms and side effects to medicine. For those who are oblivious or just don't know how to recognize those signs, is there let's see, I'm gonna say 2 or 3 signs you can just tell us, for those that are not educated to know, not educated, but informed enough to know the signs to look for. What are 2 or 3 signs we should look for when it comes to our loved ones or friends that may, tell us that, hey, they may be going through something deeper than just having a sad day?
Thought process. If they're not thinking logically, that's sign number 1. If this is someone that's usually on, they know what they're talking about, they know what they're doing, but then when they start talking and you're like, that doesn't make sense, that's a sign. Another sign is shying away. If you're someone that likes to be around people, enjoy hanging around people, you're kind of like the center of attention, but then you find that person is kind of standoffish to themselves, don't want to be around. That's another sign as well. That they could be depressed, and not want to engage with other people.
Most definitely. Okay, so now we got that, because I'm writing while you're talking, child. I'm taking my notes too. Okay, I'm taking my notes too. So so those are some signs to look for, and then when you recognize them, just like say for you, if I recognize that in you, what advice would you give me on how to approach my friend or family member to address that issue? Because a lot of people are standoffish or offended when you bring this type of conversation up, or ask them, are they depressed? What is a good way to approach someone that you feel like is going through depression or having a mental break?
I err on the side of caution always. I tell everybody, you want to be very subtle. You don't want to come out pointing the finger, blaming, oh, you this, you that, criticizing. You want to start with a conversation, just real subtle. Has anything changed in your life that has made you feel a certain way? Is there something you're dealing with that you are holding on to by yourself and you feel like no one else understands, or you feel like no one else will understand if you talk about it? Just real subtle. You don't want to be abrasive. You don't want to be aggressive, because that's going to turn them off even more to not want to talk about what's going on with them, or not express their feelings or their emotions properly.
Yes. And me and you had a conversation off air leading up to this interview, and we discussed some things I didn't even know about you. And I want to ask a question with that on that end. For someone who has experienced a traumatic experience in their life and never told anybody or kept it, bundled up inside, to that person who's watching right now and they've never told anyone and hasn't sought help, if what would you tell that person who's watching right now?
I would tell them that as much as you think you are not being seen, you are seen, and you are valued, and you are loved, and there's help out there for you. There's support and there's help. Do not allow yourself to fall. Do not allow yourself to get stuck in whatever it is that you're in, whether it's that season, that time, that moment, that trauma. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be sexual abuse. It could be addiction. It could be physical abuse. It could be mental abuse. I want to encourage them to not give up hope, to keep believing in yourself and seek the help, because you are being seen. Somebody sees you. You're not forgotten. And there's help for you.
Yes. And also healing. There's help and there's healing. You can heal. So for that person and those people that are going through those things, do you believe that healing can begin before they receive an apology or before they state that something has happened? How's a healing process for someone who has experienced something but has not voiced it or told somebody? What is that journey? Well,
I don't know how you can answer that question.
Your mental state matters. You said we were talking. Let's talk, friend. Let's talk. Yes, but what? Listen, because me and you on talk, so you've experienced things that you didn't tell some people. So that for those who have also that don't have somebody like Meoshia Abrams in their contact list as a friend or a family member or confidant, and they don't can't just call or someone they can reach out to. What is the journey of healing looks like? Where do they need to begin?
First of all, I want everyone to know, everyone is listening. If you don't get anything else from this conversation that we have on this show tonight, healing is not linear. It's a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down. It's in the valleys, it's in the sun, it's in the clouds. You have some days where you feel like you're on top of the world, and then you have some days where you like, man, I'm in the pits of hell. So I don't want anyone to ever think that healing is I've decided I want to heal and I'm just on this healing journey and nothing's ever going to happen again. And wrong answer. When you talk about healing, it has to be a internal motivation. It has to be something that you desire and you want. You have to want it for yourself. The people around you can want you to heal. They can see that you're hurt. They can see that you've gone through traumatic experiences. But until you're ready to embrace that healing, it doesn't matter. Just to give you a little bit about myself, my husband and I have been together to be 19 years next month, married. And when he met me, he automatically knew that I had a traumatic past. I can't tell you how he knew, but he knew, he just felt it. And I opened up to him. I told him what my trauma was, that I was sexually abused and molested. And from that day forward, he wanted me to get help. He was like, hey, you need to talk to somebody. You need to process this. And I was like, I'm good. I done dealt with this all these years and, I'm still standing. I'm okay. But it wasn't until life started lifing that I realized I wasn't good, that I realized that I had suppressed my feelings and my emotions about what had actually happened. I realized that I had allowed my feelings and my emotions to take a back seat to what really was going on in my life. And I'm just going to be very candid. I'm going to be very honest. I am still on my healing journey. And I would like to say that I have kind of reached a peak now where I understand why I've gone through what I've gone through and why I experienced what I experienced because of my healing journey. I took the time. You talked about having a therapist. I have a therapist myself. It wasn't until I sat down with my own therapist and I did some in-depth, talking, processing, 2 years to be exact, 2 years. I went to a therapist for 2 years, once a week for 2 years, nonstop. The only time I missed is if I was sick out of town. I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to be better. I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to change and I needed to change, not just for myself, but for my kids and my family.
Yes.
And when I did that, when I took the time to actually commit to that, whew, baby, I can't even tell you. On the other side of it, it was a life that I didn't even know I had. It was a life that I didn't even know I could experience. So it has to come from within, and you can hear it around you all day, every day. Hey, you need this. You need to get you a therapist. But until you realize that you're ready to do the work for yourself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Yes. And then too, and I want to address too, because I was thinking about some things after talking to you. A lot of people feel like too their healing comes with an apology. You know, when traumatic things have happened or a certain person has done something to them, they can't start that healing process unless that person either admits they did it or apologize for doing it. Do you believe that an apology or being or admitting that they are the cause of someone's trauma, does that help the person heal any faster?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
Absolutely not. The person that sexually abused and molested me still has not apologized to me to this day, okay? But I haven't allowed that to take my glory. I haven't allowed that to stop me from healing, because if I do, then I'm still giving that person power over my life. So no, I couldn't wait on that person to apologize to decide that I wanted to heal. I never heal. You know what I'm saying? I'll never be the person that I am today if I waited on that person to apologize. Absolutely not. It has to be a self-reflective journey that I know who I am, whose I am, and what I want in life, and I'm going to work for it. Regardless if I hear I'm sorry, regardless if I hear I didn't mean to do that, or regardless if I hear, hey, I shouldn't have done that to you, or it was a mistake. No, I got to do what's best for me, regardless if you apologize.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then too, I want people to understand too, you just stated that you were sexually abused, as a child. Trauma is not just related to sexual abuse either. And that's not all we're talking about that causes, emotional states that have people questioning themselves or in a mental breakdown situation. You can have a bad relationship. You can have a marriage that didn't work. You can have someone who broke your heart where you just knew you was in love. Y'all was going to live happily ever after forever. And it didn't work. And some people don't bounce back from that. And some of those people are waiting for, a reason why, an apology or a makeup or a second chance. And then they don't see the healing. And next thing you know, they closed out and you heard from them in a few weeks or a month or a year. And they just trying to get themselves together. No. Like she just said, the healing is not in the I'm sorry, in the admitting of wrong. Your healing process starts with you making that first step of going to get, more help, professional help. You know what I'm saying? Because I can call my best friend, I can call my cousin, I can call all of them, and we can talk and this, that, and another. But sometimes you need that professional person who went to school, that person that went to school and sat in a classroom and took a few tests. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, you need to talk to those kind of people. But for those who are taking steps and are on their healing journey, and they're still questioning whether or not they're moving past that situation, what can you tell them to look for in themselves or in their situation that will let them know they are making the right steps towards progress and they are being resilient to overcome that situation? Because sometimes we need somebody to tell us, girl, you're doing it. I see the change. Because sometimes we can't see it for ourselves. We can't see it for ourselves because we've seen so much dark days that when we start making progress, the good days we're oblivious to it. So what can you tell that person who is still questioning whether or not they are making progress or the right steps? What can you tell that person that's listening?
Someone that's listening right now that is questioning, am I healing? Am I on my healing journey? Am I doing what I need to do to change for me? I would really tell them, find yourself first. If you have found yourself, then yes, you are on that healing journey. Because I can't tell you how many times I thought I knew who I was, but I didn't know who I was until something happened in my life. And I realized, oh, whoa, you don't really know yourself. So how can I be healed if I don't know who I am? So once you start to realize who you really are, then yes, you're on the cusp of healing. Until then, nothing matters. Nothing. You can get all the accolades, you can get all of the certificates, you can get all the praise, For me, you can be an overachiever. You know, you can say, I'm gonna accomplish this, I'm gonna accomplish that, I'm gonna open a business, I'm gonna have a family, da da da. But if I still don't know who I am, I haven't healed. Because trauma, regardless of what it was, when it happened, how it occurred, it changes you. It changes. And until you acknowledge that it changed you, and until you acknowledge that I'm not that, that happened to me, but that's not who I am, then you're never going to heal.
Yes. And for someone like me, if I got a friend, if I knew you when you were going through what you were going through, for those who are friends with someone that's having these type of situations and going through this in their life, how do we help someone rebuild themselves after they've gone through heartbreak, betrayal, divorce, or a major life setback, or being molested or abused? How do we as friends and family help someone rebuild themselves?
The biggest help that I wish I had gotten when I was going through what I was going through was just someone to see me, just see me for who I was, not for what you thought I was, not for what somebody told you I was or what you heard I was, but just see me. If I'm crying, why are you crying? If I'm sad, why are you sad? Don't say, oh, she's sad because she just broke up with that boy. Or, oh, she mad because her mama won't let her go to that party. Or, oh, she upset because she didn't get that job. It's way deeper than that. So when you are around someone, a close friend is experiencing something, actually seeing them for who they truly are and saying, hey, I'm here if you want to talk. I'm here. This is a safe place. That is how. Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't feel, not to shame me to my friends. I still got friends from 30 years ago I'm still friends with. But they didn't know, I kept it a secret because I was embarrassed. I was shameful, they didn't know. But if they had known, I think if they had said, hey, you want to talk about this? Then that would have gave me a little more, power within myself to say, I can heal, I can change, and I don't have to carry this burden for the rest of my life by myself.
And you know what? I feel like there are young people that are experiencing this just right in our own communities that have not spoken out and are scared to speak out. We're gonna have, because you told me to have a conversation with you, so let's have a conversation. You told me you've been sexually assaulted when you was a child. How old were you when this happened to you?
It started when I was 6 years old and it ended when I was 16.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. 10 years. In those 10 years, was there ever a time where you tried to tell someone and they didn't believe you, or did you never tell anyone?
There was one time where I made mention to it and someone kind of like laughed at it and was like, nobody ever believe you. So I never brought it up again. That silenced me forever. That silenced me. When I say silence me, it made me feel like, well, that person is the adult. I'm the child. Nobody's ever going to believe me. So I stayed quiet. I never brought it up again. And it wasn't until my perpetrator got caught for abusing somebody else that I felt comfortable enough to say, okay, it happened to me too. And I'm just going to be honest. That's when I finally spoke out about it, after my perpetrator was caught doing it to someone else.
Do you feel like that your silence was due to fear, or fear of not being believed, or fear that they will harm you for telling? Because we watch it on TV and a lot of us say it will never happen to anyone close to us, or that it won't knock at our door, but it will. But most times, a lot of us, we watch it on TV and we see this play out. But a lot of young people who go through this, they're scared that the perpetrator will harm them or another loved one. For those who will be watching and they are scared and they're silent right now. For those who are afraid to even tell their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, if you could speak to that person who could hear you right now, what would you say to them to help them overcome their fear and be brave enough to tell just somebody?
I would tell them, the one person that you think is not going to believe you is the one that's going to believe you, and share it with them. Because that's honestly what happened in my life. The one person that I thought was not going to believe me if I had told it, when I finally, expressed it and told it, they They were in my corner day one. What can I do to help you? What do you need? How can you heal? Do you need counseling? Do you need therapy? How can I help you through this? But that person was of such high esteem to me that I felt like opening up to them and telling them what I was going through was going to upset them, because that person was up here on a pedestal in my life. So if I could tell anybody that's listening right now that one person that you think is not going to believe you, they are going to believe you. They will. They will listen to you and they will help you.
Yes. And since you said it started at 6 years old, at 6, your mind is not really processing what's fully, what's happening is wrong, but it's not fully processing. Now, once you get into teenage age range, and now you're a teenager and this is still happening to you, at that point, is there a point in your mind where it had become so accustomed to you that now you don't even want to fight back? Or now this seemed to be like, okay, it may be okay to be doing this. Is there any point where you felt like, okay, this is not wrong? Because there are a lot of, like I said, I've watched documentaries and where the victim says at some point along the way, it happened so long that now my mind has told me this is okay.
And I'm gonna be honest, I went through all of those things. When it first occurred, I thought it was okay because the perpetrator was doing it in front of family members. That's how bold they were. They groomed me in front of my family. So in my mind, if you were able to slide your finger up under my shorts or put your hand down my shirt in front of my aunt, in front of my grandparents, then this must be okay to be doing. I'm just gonna be honest. That's exactly how I felt. I felt like, somebody got to be seeing this person doing this to me. That's what I'm thinking, And if nobody's seeing this and saying anything, then it must be okay. And I lived with that for a very, very long time. Also, I live with the guilt of, if this person does this to me, then they're not doing it to anyone else, which is so not true. I feel like if I could take it, for everybody, if I could just be the soldier for everybody and take this, then nobody else will have to experience the pain and the hurt that I'm experiencing. And that was not true, because while the person was still doing it to me, they was doing it to other people as well, other young ladies as well. So that was the misconception that I had told myself, that taking this, withstanding this, oh, you're the better person. You're taking one for the team. When in actuality, I was not taking one for the team. This person it was no holds barred. They didn't care who they affected, who they hurt. So, no, that was the misconception that I had told myself to kind of get through it, if that makes sense. Yes. And as I got older, it became more of, well, let me just let them go and do what they got to do and leave me alone. The sooner I yield to this, then it's over with. And I know that sounds crazy, but as a child, your brain is not fully developed, number one. Number two, this person has made you engage in something that you physically, mentally, and emotionally are not ready to handle. That is why God said, you say sex for marriage. That I'm just gonna be honest. So now you have been introduced to something that your brain chemically cannot handle or understand. And those wires get crossed. I don't care what anybody says. It's almost like, well, if this happened, then maybe this was supposed to happen to me, or maybe this is what I'm supposed to be going through. When in actuality, the perpetrator is always wrong. I don't care what anybody says. But at that age, you don't see that as that person being wrong. You see that as, I'm wrong if I say something, or I'm gonna get in trouble if I say something. And then what if you don't have evidence? I don't have proof that this person did this to me. I dealt with that a lot growing up. How can I prove this? It wasn't no cell phones back then, recordings. It wasn't all that we got today to catch people and slip them up. I'm just gonna be honest. So those were the kind of things that was going through my head. If I share this and I tell this, what do I have as proof? How can I prove that this person is doing this to me? So it's just a lot of misconceptions around the fact that when something is adversely happens to you, you think, oh, that's negative, I'm supposed to do something about it. But again, when they're doing it, grooming you in front of other adults, it's kind of like, well, I guess this is normal, such and such right there, while you was just putting your hand down my shorts and nobody said anything.
Yeah.
So
That's a brave individual too. That's a brave individual. And in that, for those, because I've learned that kids be watching my show. Yeah, running the kids, and they tell me, I saw you. Yeah, I saw you had such and such on your show. I'm like, you be watching my page. Hold on, how old are you? So, but hey, use me, God. Okay, but for those kids, for the younger people and the older people too, but for the younger people who may watch this and see this, that are experiencing this type of situation in their lives, if you could say something to them right now that could encourage them or persuade them to tell someone, to fight back, and to know that it's not their fault. What would you say to that young person or that adult that is going through a situation like this right now and have the same thought process that you had back then, as of no one's going to believe me, or this is my fault, or this may be okay? What would you say to them that could help them possibly today or tomorrow get help?
So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to answer that question. When that was happening to me at 6, I had no idea what God was preparing me for. I had no idea that he was preparing me for this moment in life today. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to church. I went to Sunday school, read all the parables, God turned water into wine, giving sight to the blind, But at that time, I didn't understand or realize that the same God yesterday is the same God today and tomorrow. So if you're listening right now, you truly believe in the power of God, tell someone and God will do the rest. Tell someone and God will fix it for your good. I promise you he will. And that is what I wish I had done sooner. Trust God, just like I had been taught to trust God. I wish I had trust that if I open my mouth and I share what's going on with me, God is going to have my back no matter what. He's going to see me through this. Because here I am today, and I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for God. I would not be. So yes, whoever is listening on the other side of the screen today that may be dealing with any kind of traumatic experience, not just sexual abuse, it could be financial abuse, it could be mentally, emotionally, psychologically, it could be physical abuse, domestic violence. Tell someone, because you holding on to that and keeping it in internally, the longer you do, the harder it is for you to talk about it. And the harder it is for you to face it and acknowledge and say, this happened to me. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to be honest, there was a point in my life where I was looking in the mirror and I was like, yeah, that happened to me, but I'm all right. That ain't me. Mm-hmm. No, I am Meoshia. No, I don't care how you want to change it, whatever I go through, that's who I am. I'm Meoshia. And that did happen to me. And I did go through that. So you start to tell yourself that, oh, that's just an alter ego, or that's just something else. That's another version, which is not true. But when you're in the middle of a traumatic experience, whether it's, like I said, physical abuse, financial abuse, verbal abuse, you tell yourself things to get through in that moment. You tell yourself to survive. That's all, And so and the mind follows, this segment is about your mind. So what you feed your mind and what you'll tell your mind, you start to believe that. Yeah. So you cannot tell yourself that, oh, that just happened and I'm okay. No, absolutely not. You have to step out of that okay, well, that happened, but I'm a different person. You're the same person that it happened to. Same person. Yeah. So you have to stop lying to yourself and stop telling yourself that I can handle this. I'm a soldier. I can, I'm built for this. No. You're the same person, whether it happened today, yesterday, or tomorrow.
Yes, most definitely. And going through that at a young age, do you believe that played a role in your relationships when you started dating, when you got older? Do you feel like?
Absolutely. I had horrible relationships. Horrible. Horrible.
Because heavy on the horrible. Okay.
Okay. You're looking for love in all the wrong places at this point in life. I'm looking at this like the people that are closest to me, my parents, my aunts, my uncles, or whatever, the people that's supposed to be protecting me. Well, if they truly love me, then why aren't they protecting me? But again, it goes back to you being a child. They can't protect you from something they don't know is happening to you. True. I had to realize that I couldn't hold other people accountable for not coming to my rescue when they didn't know something was even happening to me. That was the part of my healing as well, you know? So yes, you have to get to a point where you are not, you're not looking for love in all the wrong places, because that's what happened to me. I would enter a relationship and I would be looking for something that I wasn't getting from the abuse part of it, you know? And then when it didn't satisfy me, it was on to the next, on to the next, on to the next relationship. And for me, in my mind, you don't know the hell I'm going through and what I've been through being sexually abused, and you gonna talk to me, man, bye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, how dare you, really? So it came an arrogance because of that's what I had taught myself to survive, if that makes sense.
Defense mechanism. That was your defensive mechanism.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so until I met my husband, who I met at the age of 18, I had never met someone that actually saw me for who I really was outside of my sexual abuse. He accepted me for who I was, and he saw me outside of that. He saw who I could become. He saw who I am today. He saw the wife, the mother, the sister, the daughter, the friend that I am today. He saw all of that in me before I saw it in myself. And I thank God for that, because had he not, I don't know where I would be. I'm just going to be honest. Was it hard? Absolutely. Was it hard for him? I'm sure it was plenty of times he was like, God, you put me up to this task. I don't know if I can do this. You can have this one back, God. Give me another one. This is hard. I'm just going to be honest. I know I was a difficult cookie. I know I was hard to deal with. But because of his faith and because of his belief in God, and he said that God told him, this is your wife. I want you to marry this young lady. And he said, I knew it was a reason behind it. And so he saw where I am today before I saw it. He kept encouraging me, letting me know again. And I get this from him. What happened to you, but you're not that person. He taught that to me. And that is ultimately what helped me on my healing journey. I had to realize that happened to me, but that's not my story. That's not who I am. And when I started to accept that, then I started to heal. I started to forgive.
Yes.
I started to say, you know what? This happened to me, but this is not me. This doesn't have to be my life story. I can dictate what I want my life to be like. And that's what started my healing journey. I'm just going to be 100% about it.
And I like that you said forgive, because I think people get it confused. It's not necessarily forgiving that person for them. You're forgiving for yourself. Forgiving is for yourself, and letting that go, letting that heavy weight come up off of you. So I'm glad that you said forgive, because I can't say what I would do in a situation, but I don't know if I can forgive that person. But I know what the Bible says. So I will hope I will be able to as well. But it takes a strong individual to forgive someone who has caused that type of trauma in their lives, especially at a young age. For someone who is dating, like your husband, for someone who is dating someone that has experienced that in their lives, especially at a young age, what are some things that they can do to help create a healthy relationship where both of you are growing emotionally from that situation? You spoke earlier about how he told you that he noticed something was off and something was wrong, and he told you to get to go to therapy and get help. He was able to see that. And like you said also earlier, a lot of people didn't see you were going through something when you were younger. So what are some things that someone who's in a relationship with someone who has gone through sexual abuse, what are some things that they can do to help that person grow emotionally from that situation and to create a healthy relationship for them?
One of the main things is being patient. He was extremely patient with me. I'm gonna get real candid. There are times I didn't want to be intimate with him, because for me, I already know what it feels like to be intimate. I already know what it feels like to have sex. So you ain't got nothing else to offer me. You get what I'm saying? So he had to be patient with me. He had to wait until I learned my body, until I figured out well, this does feel good, or this is what I do enjoy, or this is what I do like, because intimacy was not it. It just wasn't there. So being patient with someone, listening to them, actually hearing them what they're saying. I was real big on my way or the highway. I wanted things my way because in my mind, everybody owed me. In my mind, I'd have been through the pits of hell. So I should be treated like Queen Elizabeth. I should be able to have whatever I want, when I want it, how I want it, or whatever. And he had to bring me back to earth and reality and say, yeah, you've been hurt. Yeah, you've gone through a lot. But that doesn't make you no better than anybody else. So just being patient and actually hearing and listening to your mate are some of the things that you can do. He was very encouraging about getting help. And I'm gonna be honest, there were times in my life where I started counseling and therapy. Then I would be like, oh, I'm good. And I quit. Then there were times in my life where, I told him I was in counseling and therapy.
All at the mall. I was in the Galleria. You was at the Galleria shopping.
And I came home, because I talked the talk. I walked the walk, because when you've gone through something traumatic, whether it's sexual abuse, addiction, physical, whatever, again, you learn how to compensate. So I learned how to wear a different mask. I learned how to be whoever he needed me to be in that day or in that moment. And eventually that got old. Eventually I couldn't do that anymore, because then I had forgot who was out today, or what did I say? And so that, along with the trauma that you're carrying and trying to live a different life and wear a mask, that's exhausting in itself. Yes. So it just comes a point in life where you're just like, I can't keep wearing this mask anymore. I can't. I got to free myself. And in freeing myself, that means that I got to forgive myself, one, for what I allowed to happen. Two, I got to forgive the person that did this to me, because I'm giving them power every day that I don't forgive them. Every day that I allow this person to run rampant in my head, my heart, and my soul, I'm giving them a piece of my power. And I'm going to be honest, it wasn't until early part of this year that I actually forgave my perpetrator. I'm going to be honest. I thought I had forgiven them years ago when I went through counseling and therapy, but I had not. It was an incident that happened a few months ago where I ended up having to be in the same vicinity of the person that molested me. And I handled it with grace. And that is when I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you have truly forgiven that person. Because back it was like, well, if I see him, what I'm gonna say to him, or do I want to hit him? Do I want to curse him out? Do I do all these things? But God had put me in a situation where I could have did all those things if I wanted to. I could have walked up to him. I could have said what I want. I could have did, but I didn't. It was a calmness in me that was like, what is it gonna prove? What is it gonna do? Forgive this person and move on with your life. And that was the most freeing and exhilarating thing that I have ever done in my life. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Because I didn't think that was something I could ever do. I didn't think that I could ever be in that person's, area, vicinity, hear their voice, or even just know that they somewhere near, and I not clam up or I not want to do something crazy. But the fact that I was able to stay composed, and the fact that I was able to not want to jump on them, curse them, or even I didn't even want to have a conversation with them. That's when I knew, okay, you've truly forgiven. You've forgiven that person. So
yes. And let me ask you too, how can someone set healthy boundaries without feeling guilty?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Ooh, that's a hard one, which is something that I recently, in the last year or so, have had to come to terms with my own family and with my own situation, setting healthy boundaries. I had to realize that as much as I wanted to have relationships with certain people that knew about what was happening to me and what I experienced, it wasn't healthy for me. Because in having those relationships with those people, it continued to bring into my remembrance, times of when, I was abused and that person may have been in the other room, or I was abused and that person was down the hall. And so I realized that was not good for my mental. It was not good for my peace. So what I had to do was I had to set boundaries and say, I got to deal with these people on my terms. I can't deal with them on their terms. They can't have access to me, Because if I get them access to me, then I'm giving them power over me again to make me go back and revert to the old person I was. So, and I tell people all the time, boundaries is not being mean, it's not being ugly. Boundaries is saying my peace is way more important than your feelings and your thoughts about me in this moment. That's what a boundary is. And I know there are some people out there right now that may even be watching this show that's saying, yeah, she didn't say boundaries. I sure did. But it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't love you. I don't care. I don't pray for you. But I have to protect my peace. My peace is way more important than anybody else's. So that is what boundaries is about, protecting your peace.
Most definitely. And look, as a counselor, what's one conversation you wish every family would have around the dinner table when it comes to emotional wellness?
You know, back in the day, the saying, what goes on in this house stays in this house, that need to be thrown out. Like, throw it out. Just cut it up, throw it away. Because that is culturally what has happened in our communities. And it's a tradition that we live by. So that does not need, no, what happens in this house, no, because you may feel comfortable telling a counselor that, hey, my dad touched me the other night inappropriately. But if you've been taught what happens in this house, stay in this house, then you're never going to have that conversation with that counselor. So that is one thing I think needs to be thrown out. You know, what happens in this house stays in this house, because that is what keeps things silent. That's what keeps things buried. And that's what makes people feel like I got to deal with this on my own, because now I'm going to bring shame to my family. You know, if I talk about what's going on behind these closed doors, you know, now I got to deal with the embarrassment, not just of me, but now I've embarrassed my family. That's something I carried around. Well, if I tell what's going on, then my family's going to be embarrassed. If I tell what's going on, then I'm going to make my family look bad. But what fail to realize is they made themselves look bad, some of them. So, but that's the conversation that if you can have with your family now, just being open and honest. You know, if something is not right, say it's not right. If something doesn't feel right, say it doesn't feel right, you know, and not, oh, I can't talk about this because this just happened in my house. That's the one thing I would silence, put a ratchet in right there.
And then too, I believe too, like we said, a lot of conversations in our culture we don't like to have, especially around other people. I think too, sitting down with your kids and saying, hey, how was your day? Did anything happen today? Anything you want to tell me? You know, and making them feel safe to be able to tell you certain things also will help change a lot of situations that are happening right now currently. So to the parents out there watching, you know, I'm speaking to me too as well, but ask your kids those questions, the tough questions, the questions, you know, hey, what's going on? And I used to, when mine was little and he first started going to daycare, anybody touch you when you went to the bathroom? Anybody watch you when you went in that stall? Don't use no urn. Don't use no urn. Go in the stall and shut the door. Don't use that thing out there in the middle of in the bathroom. Don't stand there and use that. Go in one of them stalls and shut that door. Absolutely. You know, but yeah, ask the questions. Ask him the questions and let him know. When he was little, I used to when I was giving him his bath, I would say, hey, you know, don't nobody touch that but me and daddy when we bathing you. You hear me right? Nobody touch on you besides me and daddy. All right.
Another thing is giving it a name. Yeah, what it is. It ain't your cookie bowl. It ain't your pocketbook. That is your vagina.
That's your vagina. That's your penis. And when we got older, daddy used to say, if you let a dick go in your coochie, you gonna get pregnant. And hey, when we got older, that's what he said. Now ain't no more birds and bees. He talked to us just like it was. Okay, I used to be there like, what? You know?
Well, my grandma used to tell us you can get pregnant from kissing. That's what she used to tell us.
Okay, daddy, gonna get the cooties. Okay, but them conversations need to be had. Ain't no sugarcoat. That is sugarcoat. Now I used to be very offended, and you know, but the conversations have to be had because a lot of situations are happening because kids aren't informative of, you know, what is not right, what is right, and it's okay to tell it. And all this birds and bee, I'm sorry, I'm 41. I ain't never seen a bird screw a bee a day in my life. I don't know nothing about that right there. I don't know about that right there now, but now Mary and John.
There are a lot of things out there now. Some things that I did differently with my kids was I got my daughter a book about her body, explaining to her what her body was. before she even reached puberty, before she, reached those, times where girls start blossoming, So that was something that no one ever gave me. No one ever had that talk with me. You know what I'm saying? So me giving her that book and letting her read it on her own, and then giving her the ability and the space and the capacity to come and ask me questions, I feel like that opened the door for us to have that conversation about what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong. So I started very early, and I know I started early because of what happened to me. I know I did. But, when you go through some things in life, you're just like, hey, I can't take no chances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different tools out there now. There are a lot of different books about good touch, bad touch. There are a lot of different books about, these are your body parts. Nobody else should be touching them, which are things that may have been around when I was there, but I never read one. I never knew anything about it. So there's a lot of more education surrounding it now. There are websites now that tell you how to talk to your kids, how to have these conversations with your kids. And so I encourage every parent that is watching this, listening, aunt, uncle, if you've never had this conversation, go Google it. Go to some of them websites and figure out, how do I start this conversation with my child? How do I have it? Because again, what is not talked about is the silent killer. That's what it is.
Yes.
You got to talk about it.
Yes. And a lot of times history will repeat itself because it's not talked about. It's not talked. And I hate to be one of those. I think they call them helicopter parents. And I ain't gonna get on here and tell y'all my business, but but I remember, getting to that age where I was able to start dating and go out, baby. And I used to tell people, I said, my mom used to make us. We used to come in. She'd be trying to smell our drawers to see if the signs of activity. Sniff my underwear. So I got wise. I used to take an extra pair with me because you ain't gonna get me, lady. You ain't gonna get me now. You ain't gonna catch me because I got to go on my day. I'll tell you. But
look, so y'all children is watching, do not take her advice. Don't take her advice.
Those were involved. They were involved parents, baby. Mine set up and waited for me to come in for my date night. You know what I'm saying? What did y'all do? Where y'all went? You know what I'm saying? You got to have conversations. I'm raising a boy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is to be a man and this and another. And I'm raising a boy, and I have to have conversations with him. And I talk to him from a woman's standpoint. This is wrong. Don't touch no female. Don't do this. Don't say this. Don't. You know what I'm saying? I talk to him from a girl and a woman side of things, so that he doesn't make certain mistakes. And now, granted, even though you can have a million conversations, sometimes things are still going to happen. But at least if they do, I can say I had the tough conversations with him. I talked to him. I did my part. Okay. And you know what I'm saying? But you got to, and I'm repeating that because your situation happened at 6 years old. And even as an adult now, I didn't even know you back then, but as an adult, I'm like, oh, I wish I could have been, because as a parent, as an adult, you want to protect the kid. Kids are off limits. Kids are they should just be off limits, and you want to protect them. And I hate you went through it, but I'm glad you got through it. I'm glad that you're on the other side of it, to where now you are in a position where you've started your own counseling service. You went to school and got all them degrees, and now you're able to help others who have gone through certain situations to get through their situations. You know what I'm saying? Pathway to Freedom. I like the name, the Pathway to Freedom. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about that before we end this. Pathway to Freedom. Tell them about your counseling service, how they can book you for your for their counseling needs and their therapy needs, where you're located. Do you do virtual counseling for those who are outside of the Birmingham area and can't drive to you? Let's tell them about Pathway to Freedom Counseling.
So Pathways to Freedom Counseling, LLC, is my baby. I said it's my baby. I have 2 locations. I have a location in Hoover, and I also have a location in the Inslee area. And the reason I have a location in the Inslee area of town is because that is a lot of the places that things are happening. And I'm not just talking about sexual abuse, but I'm just saying things in general. And everybody needs to have access to help. Everybody needs to have access to services, whether they can afford it, whether they can get on a bus to get to it, a car, whatever. So that's why I've opened up a alternative location. We do virtual, and we also do in person at both locations. I have 3 clinicians that work under me as well. And you asked me about ages. So a lot of my other 2 clinicians, they focus on kids. So they see a lot of the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds. I prefer the adults, teenagers, adults. Because like you said, when you started, these kids today are different. But yes, we work with all ages up until age 18 if you have Medicaid. And then we take all insurances. You know, if you think of it, we take it. And if we don't take it, we'll figure out a way to get you seen. We have a sliding scale fee, you know. If you can't afford counseling and therapy, we work with you, you know. And sometimes situations are where you come to us and you say, I need this, and we know you need it. We're not even going to ask you to pay for it. That's how we operate over here at Pathway to Freedom Counseling. You know, I want to make sure that we are reaching and teaching and, you know, impacting lives throughout the world, you know, regardless of their ability to pay or regardless of their ability to, you know, say, you can bill my insurance. That has nothing to do with it. Nothing. So that's number 1. Number 2, you can reach us on our website, which is pathwaytofreedomcounseling.com. Also on that website, you can reach Pathway to Peak Performance, which is where we work with student athletes and training their minds to prepare for the longevity of their careers. Whether you're a gymnast, you're playing soccer, you're bowling, you playing basketball, volleyball, softball. You know, we have all these talented kids these days, you know, and we put all this money into going to the gym. We put all this money into nutrition and, you know, weight training and agility training. But why are we not focusing on their brains?
Yes.
Because if we don't focus on their minds, that is the part that usually crumbles first. And that is what doesn't sustain them. So we offer all of those services. Again, like I said, you can go to our website, pathwaytofreedomcounseling.com. Our phone number is 205-329-3488. And yeah, our locations again are in Hoover and in the Inslee area. And we would love to have you. We would love to work with anyone that is wanting to forge a new path of freedom in their life.
Yes, I love that. So Peak Performance and Pathway to Freedom Counseling, and it's all wrapped around helping someone to protect and manage their mental state so they can make it through life no matter what they're doing, no matter what their age is. So please, please, please do me and Meoshia the favor of seeking help if you need it. Okay. Yes. Even if you don't think you need it, make the call. Because I'm telling you, I don't know about nobody else, but honey, I enjoy going to sit on my therapist's couch and chill. I enjoy it. It's like I need it. I need it. I be looking at the
schedule. I got some people that be like, hey, I know I ain't supposed to see you this week, but can we talk this week?
Can we talk? Please. Please. Put me on the schedule.
I'm okay with it.
Put me on the schedule. Yes.
This is preventative. This is to help. So if something does come along in life, that you can handle it. I'm just giving you tools in your toolbox to help you face what may come your way. So
yes. So that's what they're here for. The service is there, and like she said, they take insurance, all kind of insurance, and then if you don't have insurance, they can work with you. So there's no excuse not to get the help. So make the phone call, go to the website, book the appointment, do your consultation, and go ahead and make that appointment and speak with the counselors who have been trained and educated to help you get through some things. And it's good to know that the person you're talking to and seeking help from has also gone through some things. Because for me, how can you tell me I can get through something and you give me advice and you ain't get through that or did that? That book ain't told you that. That book ain't taught you how to do that now. Yeah. So I'm glad that you were vulnerable enough to share your history and your experience from your childhood and how you got through it. Because again, your story is probably helping save someone else's life or helping come to an end, a situation that they didn't know how or when it was going to end for them. So I'm glad that you are at a point in your life that you're strong enough to have that conversation.
And I give that all to God. I give God all the glory for that. God transformed me, transformed my mind. You know, he brought me to a place of, you know, this is your talent. This is the talent I've given you. This is your ministry to help others that may be dealing with difficult times. And not just sexual abuse, as you were saying. It could be any type of abuse, PTSD, it could be anything. And you're absolutely right. It feels so much better working with someone that has gone through something than working with somebody that's just reading to you out of a book what you should do or shouldn't do.
Most definitely. And because I love to hear you speak, and I know you're a very educated woman, do you do speaking engagements? And if
Absolutely.
so, tell them how they can book you to be a speaker at an event about mental health and mental awareness. Go ahead and tell them how they can book you.
Absolutely. You can reach us via email at info@pathwaytofreedomcounseling.com. You can also call us 205-329-3488. We also have a Facebook page, Pathway to Freedom Counseling LLC, and we have a Instagram page, which is called Heal with Pathway. So you can reach us any of those platforms, and we'll be glad to work with you.
And for the schools, for someone that's listening that's involved in the school system, whereas you're an administrator, superintendent, teacher, principal, whatever, janitor at the school, if you know a school that is willing to allow Ms. Abrams to enter and offer her services, can you tell them what kind of service or package you have for the school systems where you can go in and offer your service? We spoke about it before.
So
tell them about
Peak Performance is a nonprofit. I'm not wanting to make anything off of it. So it's ran off of donations. It's ran off of, fundraising. So if you have a mental health budget already proposed for your kids or for your students or for your church or for any type of organization, then we can come in under that mental health initiative and we can provide services that way, where you're not coming out of your pocket spending anything. So a lot of people get, funding from the government or get grant funding for mental health purposes only. That falls under it. And we can come in and we can set up, a seminar. We do pre, post, and during the school year, like during the athletic, season or whatnot. We also do individual, we do team, we do coaches, we do parents, because it's not just the child whose mindset has to change. It has to be all the people that's around them as well. So mom and dad got to think differently. The coaches have to think differently in order for the kids to buy into what it is that we're wanting them to learn. Because I can't teach them something and then they go home and mom and dad telling them something else. So yes, we would love to work with any school system, any organization that would have us. Like I said, if you have any type of mental health initiative or anything that you are already receiving funding for to help mental health, it covers it. You don't have to pay a thing out of your pocket.
Yes. I love it. One thing I love on the platform is to do whatever I can to help the youth to be great in life. Okay. So for all the schools or youth organizations that may be tuned in and heard what she just said, reach out to Ms. Abrams and take advantage of Peak Performance, her company, her nonprofit, and let's make sure that our kids' mental state is intact, so that they can have a healthy and successful adult life. Let's help it now. We start now, then we can help prepare them, and we can get ahead of this thing and help turn some things around and change the stereotypes. So take advantage. She's dropped her information. When we're going to end this interview, we're going to drop all the information in the comments as well. For those that come back and watch it later, the information will be in the comments so they don't have to fast forward or rewind or try to find it. We're going to make sure it's in the comment section for the booking information for counseling service and Peak Performance. We're going to drop it in the comments for you all. Tell somebody to tell somebody. Okay. It was an incredible conversation, a deep conversation. I thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Most definitely. Thank you. You shared your professional expertise, but you also shared your heart with us. Tonight, you've reminded us that healing isn't a destination, it's a journey, and no one has to walk that journey alone. You've challenged us to look beyond appearances, to extend grace, to prioritize our mental wellness, and to understand that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous step toward freedom. To everyone watching tonight, remember this. Your past does not define your future. Your struggles do not determine your worth, and your scars can become a testimony of strength and resilience. If something from tonight's conversation spoke to you, do not ignore it. Reach out. Start the conversation. Take the first step toward healing. There is hope for you, and there are people who genuinely care about you. Thank you again for joining us on Live on the Fed Up Show podcast tonight for this conversation about your mental state matters. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the CEO and founder of Pathway to Freedom LLC, Pathway to Freedom Counseling LLC, and Peak Performance, Miss Abrams, and your host, Meoshia, aka Miss Fed Up. To the amazing Fed Up family and those who watched in tonight, thank you for spending the evening with us. Until next time, make sure you protect your peace. Choose healing over hurt, and never stop believing that your best chapter is still ahead of you. Good night, everybody. God bless, and keep walking boldly in your purpose. We'll holler. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Queen.